Now, as Rome grows, there are problems of new conquered peoples who need to be integrated into this new political system. And that becomes harder and harder. At the same time, Rome is experiencing what is called latifundia. Previously, there were a lot of small landowners who worked and farmed the Italian peninsula and who also served in the army. But increasingly, those small landowners got pushed out as wealthy people bought larger and larger tracts of land that were run by slaves. But in many ways, this was not a good system. First of all, because those farmers sell their lands, they couldn't fight in the army anymore. So Rome's manpower decreases. Slaves also have less to lose. They're not invested in the property. So there's a lot of potential for revolt. And owners find themselves quelling slave revolts all of the time. And at the same time, you have these disenfranchised former small landowners who are moving into the cities. And in those cities, they're living in basically the ghettos of Rome. Very inadequate and unsanitary housing with all sorts of diseases prevalent. And so they're begging. They're receiving some social assistance, but it's not enough. And their population is only growing. So there's a lot of civil unrest and a lot of dissatisfaction. Ironically, then, it was the success of the Roman Republic in conquest that propelled its disintegration. Which isn't to say there weren't people who tried to fix things. There absolutely were. And in the years following the Punic Wars, you have two factions in the Roman Republic who duke it out and to try to fix these problems in different ways. On the one side, there were the Optimates. The Optimates are patricians, and they think that the problem with Rome is essentially that the riffraff have too much power, and that Rome will be okay if the patricians can regain control and bring things back to the way that Rome used to be. In opposition, there were the Populares, what were known as the popular parties. They proposed reforms that had a broad appeal. They wanted to solve these problems of disenfranchisement and solve the growing problem of poverty and starvation in the city of Rome.